The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is finding the time it takes to complete. That's another way that they might ask you about infusion rates. So the question is, what are they asking you? They are asking you two things. They're either asking you how many hours will this run for, or they're asking you what time it will be once this is completed. So in the first example, when they're asking you how many hours it will run, a sample question could be similar to this one, where it says, that's an and. Okay, so if an 800 ml bag of normal saline is run at 50 mLs per hour, how long will the bag last? So the formula is infusion mLs divided by the rate mLs. So 800 is what's being infused, but the rate that they have set on the formula is 50. So the bag is worth 800 mLs, but the calibration says they only want the patient to get 50 mLs per hour. So again, infusion mLs divided by the rate mLs. And you'll be able to notice the difference, okay? The infusion mLs are basically the larger volume that's being dispersed over a period of time. So in the formula, we have 800 mLs divided by 50 mLs per hour, and the answer gives us 16. So in this particular question, when they're asking us find the total time it takes to complete, the answer would be 16. Based on this problem, it will take 16 hours for this to be completed. Okay? Now, the next type of question that they have is a 3-step problem. This is a 3-step example. And in the 3-step example, it requires you to do 3 things. So let's read the question. The question says, if 600 mLs of normal saline are started at 1600 hours, what time will it be once the infusion is completed if the infusion is run at 100 mLs per hour? That's a mouthful. Not only is it a mouthful, this is where the military time comes into play. The reason why they use military time in the hospitals is because no 2 times of day are alike. And that leads us to not have, medical error. You know, if the nurse forgot to put AM or PM, it won't kill the patient, because with military time, 4 o'clock in the afternoon is a different number than 4 o'clock in the morning. But that's last week's lesson. Hopefully you understood that. So the first step that you want to do is our mLs for mLs formula. So step 1, we are dividing 600 by 100, and that gives us 6 hours. So we determined that 6 hours needs to be infused. However, it says that's not enough. It says, what time will it be once the infusion is completed? So now that I know that it's going to take 6 hours to complete this infusion, the next step is I need to add my 6 hours to my start time. It starts at 1600 hours, and I need to add 6 hours to this. Now over here, I did put 16 hours plus 6, but I didn't add it by stacking, because, you know, you can't do that with military time, because you might come up with like 2,600 hours, and there's no such thing as that. So if you want to count on your fingers, you can, count 1,600 hours and add the 6 hours to it. So you should get 2,200 hours, because it's, 1,700, 1,800, 1,900, 20, 21, 22. So that's 6 hours later, 2,200 hours. Now, the third step is making sure your answers are in military time. Or again, make sure that it's, been put into military time. If they give it to you in civilian time, that's perfectly fine. If they want to give it to you in civilian time, you answer in civilian time. But if they give it to you in the military, you have to give it to them in military. If they give it to you in civilian, you answer it in civilian. You want to respond the way that the question is posed. The final answer to this question is 2,200 hours. Now, although it falls under the same category of total time to infuse, they didn't ask you how many hours will it be later. They said, what time will it be once it's done? So the 6 hours is not the final answer. The final answer is what time it will be when it completes. If they told you it starts at 1,400 hours, at 1,600 hours, then you need to add the 6 hours to this, and that will tell you the time that it will end. This formula infusion will end at 2,200 hours. Thanks.